What's up YouTube? My name is South Sound Rider, also known as Chris, and today I want to talk about flat pedals versus clipless and why I'm going to stick with clipless pedals this time. So let's jump right into a few things here. If you're new to this channel, I would bid you welcome here. This is my YouTube channel for mountain biking. I do a lot of riding in the South Sound here in Washington State and hopefully beyond. I'm hoping to actually ride maybe Whistler one day. I'm trying to get myself up to Galbraith and ride up there. So I'm working on all that and hopefully I'll get there soon. So let's jump right into pedals because, you know, the debate with pedals has been going on for a very long time. We have the flats and then we have the clipless pedals and there's a lot of preferences to either or. I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about my experience with pedals and where I'm going with my pedals. So to kick things off, I start off with these race face chesters. I mean, these aren't bad pedals. I mean, you can get these in just about any bike shop. They're very easy to install, very easy to use. You just put your feet on it and go. If you have a good set of flat shoes, these pedals will do great. So I've used these pedals for about 3.5 years, give or take. And at some point I decided to move on from these pedals. I did have some minor issues with them. I did have issues with my feet slipping off of these pedals, even on technical climbs. My feet would slip off of the pedals. I've had my feet slip off once or twice, even with my toe pointing in the air, my lead foot. I've had a lot of different things go on. So these pedals are great for starters, but I mean, if you're advancing, I'd probably look on to some other flats. Which takes me to these OneUp Components. These pedals actually rival these race face chesters. So these just came on the market probably within the last year or so. They actually have a slight difference in appearance. They have a little bit more of a wider platform when you compare the two. The platform is just a little bit wider. And at the same time, you also have a pin in the middle. These race face chesters don't have any pins in the middle. I feel like this pin in the middle actually helped me out a lot when it came to riding. I had more grip. I was actually riding better on my technical climbing. And it was just overall a much better pedal. And now you can actually find these in the bike shops. My bike shop actually had these in stock right next to the chesters. And they actually go for about the same price. They're actually composite, just like the chesters. And yeah, you can go either or with these, but preferably when you start off with brand new pedals, brand new rider, try to get the OneUp Components if you can. These just have a much better feel overall. Both of them have really good pins, but you know, I've always, like I said, I've always had issues with my feet slipping off of these with the shoes that I wore. Now let's go ahead and jump into my favorite pedals. I switched to these about 5-6 months ago. These are my Anvils, Anvil Tilt with the titanium shaft. I ran these on my Sentinel for quite some time. And these pedals are actually great. I mean, they're made of aluminum. You do find them on sale on Transition's website. You don't have to own a Transition to have these things. I mean, these things are just solid. And these things give me way more grip than my other two pedals. I can't really say why. I mean, other than the fact that these pins stick up a lot higher. So it could be why my 510 Freeriders actually work better on these because they just get on top and they stick to it and I'm good to go. So yeah, these pedals serve me well. I use these for training now. I actually practice my manuals, do some wheelies. I actually take them out on trails I've never been on. I like to ride flats on trails I'm new to riding because it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in what I'm doing. And yeah, they work great. I mean, I highly recommend getting a set of these Anvils. You can probably find them on, I know Fanatic has them, I know Transition has them on their website. And like I said, you don't have to own a Transition to buy these. They have a big plethora of crazy stuff. I mean, I got the bar, Anvil seat on my Sentinel here, but these pedals are solid. I definitely recommend them. Now, there's one thing about these flats that I wasn't getting out of them for over the past 3.5 years of riding. So flats, I've always had great experiences with them. I've learned so much on them, but I've always felt cumbersome on them. When I would put my shoes, any of my shoes, my riding shoes on the pedal, I'm never happy with the position I put my foot on. My feet are always just moving all on the pedal at all times, even when I'm riding like 15-20 miles per hour down the trail. I can't feel the right spot. I'm constantly moving, shifting my foot all over the pedal, finding my happy spot. And that became a nuisance because I was more focused on finding my foot position than I was focusing on the trail. So some of you guys who ride flats probably don't have that problem, but for me, I'm just very indecisive about my foot placement. And that is a big problem for me because, like I said, it takes my concentration off of the trail and more on the pedal. So I ended up wanting to go with something that would help me out a little bit with that. When I first started riding on Clipless, I started out with Shimano SPDs. I mean, a lot of people do. I mean, these pedals are everywhere. Bike shops have them. These are the M520s, and these are very solid. These are very solid pedals for what they are. I mean, they have full adjustability. You can adjust tension right here with an Allen wrench. Your cleats will slide in and out real easy. You can have it tighter, you can have them looser, you know, whatever works for you. I mean, these are not bad just to try out Clipless. But these just didn't do it for me. These pedals gave me a lot more anxiety than I usually have. And even though I had them on the loose setting, it just felt like I wasn't on a flat pedal. And that was the next challenge I had when I was trying to ride Clipless and switching from the flats to Clipless. So I ended up going back to flats after using SPDs for a while, and I ended up throwing these on my road bike, and they work great on the road bike. I highly recommend SPDs on a road bike if you have a road bike or a gravel bike. But as I said, this didn't cut it for mountain biking. So I did the next thing, and I switched to Crankbrothers. Yes, these are the Mallet DHS. This is actually the SuperBruni limited edition ones. I really love these pedals. These things are flipping awesome. I mean, the first thing I love about this pedal is the longer shaft. The spindle is just so much longer, and I've noticed that I have less heel strikes on the back of my chainstays since I switched over to these longer shaft pedals. I mean, they're flipping awesome. I love them. Now I also have Mallet Enduros on my other bike, on my Scout, and I'm getting ready to order a long spindle kit and just swap out the spindles because these make it so much easier for me to ride. They feel wider, they feel much more comfortable. And the pedal in general, it has the profile of a flat pedal. That's one thing I really enjoy about this pedal, because when I'm on it, I feel like I'm riding a flat pedal. And it kind of blows my mind too, because I'm actually tricking myself thinking that I'm riding flats when I'm actually riding on a clipless pedal. Now I do have to remember to twist my ankle out to get out of the pedal. I did have an incident, I wish I had it on camera, it would have been too funny. I pulled up to my friends who all wore flats, and then I did a little mini power slide and I stopped. And then I had too much momentum and I just went over it. My right foot didn't unclip and I just went right to the ground. And of course I'm laughing about it because I wasn't really going all that fast. And then you hear all my friends busting out laughing at me and like, this is why I'm never gonna ride clipless pedals ever. Yeah, so I learned my lesson from just something silly that happened to me. But I've had nothing but great times on these pedals since I switched over to them, and just using the Mallet Enduros, Mallet DHs. My riding is more solid. I'm not focused on foot placement, and rather I'm focused more on what's going on in front of me. Now I know with my foot slipping around on pedals, a lot of it is due to the shoes. So I first started off on Specialized 2FOs, and they're great shoes. I mean, nothing wrong with the 2FOs. They are really solid for what they are, but it's the compound that they use, and I can't seem to find my grip with them on flat pedals. So recently I switched over to 510 impacts, and these 510 impacts, I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have heard all the stories about how great 510 shoes are, and yeah, that sole, the stealth sole that they have on that thing is amazing. The grip, like my feet stopped slipping on the flats using my 510 impact shoes. And it was really surprising. I did not realize that they can do that. I think the big question is, like, are my times a lot faster? Like, am I faster on Strava on clipless than I am flats? Honestly, I really don't know, nor do I really care. I'm more about efficiency and learning and progressing. So I don't care about my personal times, records, like how much better I am on clipless than flats. I know some people do care, and I think it's great. But for me, I'm more interested in just being efficient on the trail and actually navigating from point A to B and having a good time. So I feel like in the big picture, the Crankbrothers Mallet Enduros and DHs are the perfect pedal that can actually help me with that. Now, there are some cons to having these pedals. They don't have the adjustability as the SPDs, whereas you just take the SPD pedal and you just twist it and you can have your foot come in and out very easily. These things, you have to have specific cleats just for them. You have to have the Crankbrothers cleats, and you have to buy the set that works for you. Now, I did buy the easy release cleats that are brass, and these make me feel so much better about riding clipless because I can get out of the pedal so much faster and easier. And I do recommend that if you are trying out these pedals for the first time, make sure you get yourself a different set of cleats if you don't feel comfortable with the ones that you have. And you also need to make sure you break them in too. You need to break in the cleats because it does take a little bit of time to break in your cleat before they can start disengaging real easily. Now, there is a learning curve when it comes to clipless pedals. At least that's what I've been learning. I've been practicing trying to clip in and out, and I'm getting pretty good at it with these Crankbrothers. When I first started out, my foot would just kind of slip out and I would miss. I tried so hard to get the cleat in, it was kind of a pain, but after a while I started to break in that cleat like I said earlier, and once I broke the cleat in, I started to clip in a lot easier. So that's something to think about when you're trying to switch over to clipless. You want to actually practice with it, get used to it, feel comfortable with it before you actually go out on the trails and ride with it. Now, there are some pros and cons to going clipless from the flats, but it's also a learning curve and something you need to practice. For me, one of the biggest pros is that my feet will actually stay in the position that I place it in on the cleat and inside the pedal. Like I said before, my feet used to slip around the pedal a lot, and that was a big problem for me. Now I don't have to worry about that because my foot is always in the same position. So I think one of the cons on clipless for me is actually unclipping for one. I've always had this thing I need to unclip and put my foot down on the ground when I need to. However, when I reevaluated how much I've been riding, I realized I don't put my foot down that much. It's like a safety mechanism for me to stick my foot out and then have it at least one foot on the ground when I'm about to wipe out on a corner. But I've always noticed that I always recover. Now, with these easy out clips, or easy out cleats, I can actually get out easier and put my foot down when I need to. So I can't use it as a valid argument anymore. Now, I want to make note that I don't plan on abandoning flat pedals. These things are still great for me to learn. There's a lot of things I can learn on these flat pedals that I can't really grasp on clipless yet. For instance, jumping. Jumping is a great thing to learn on flats. And I've been doing a lot of gap jumping, just a lot of jumping in general, and I've been learning a ton just riding flat pedals and jumping. And at the same time, I still want to learn how to manual. I still want to do some wheelies and stuff like that. And the only way to really practice it in a safe way is stick to flat pedals. Now, I do intend on switching in and out of my pedals between the clipless and the flats, depending on what I'm trying to do. Okay guys, that's about it for me about flats and clipless and why I'm sticking with clipless pedals. I hope some of this is a little bit informative. I'm still working on my dialogue in front of a camera, so I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm hoping to keep making content like this. So please leave a comment below at the bottom, tell me how I'm doing. Tell me what I can do better too. I'm always curious to know how I'm doing better. Also, make sure you drop a like for me. It'll help me out immensely. If you want to, please do follow my channel. I'm hoping to add more content as I go. My college quarters are over. I'm actually on spring break right now, which is great because I'm gonna take my bike out and I'm just gonna take this thing out and just go all over the place and start riding all spring break. So I'm hoping to have a lot of fun with that. So more videos coming soon. Alrighty, that's all from me here today. Take care everybody, I'll see you next time.